Hi everyone, I'm Miss Lydia from the Boston Library. Thank you so much for joining me for our Craft Friday project today. Today we are making snowflakes. So we have two different types of decorative snowflakes, the small paper type and this big paper bag type. So you can use brown paper bags or white paper bags for this if you have them. You're going to be looking for these smaller lunch bag size paper bags. We're going to start with our regular paper snowflake here, our flat one. So what you need for this is a piece of regular printer paper. You don't want to use anything thicker than this, so no cardstock, it'll be too hard to cut. So just a regular sheet of printer paper. I'm going to lay it down so that it is in landscape orientation, so lengthwise this way, and I'm going to fold it in half. So now I have a shape that looks like this. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it this way, and I'm going to find my center point, and I'm just going to crease it a little bit. So I'm going to take that, line it up just like I'm making a card, but I'm only going to pinch the very top of that, just right there. And then when I open it back up, I have a little crease right in the center. Now I'm going to lay this down and I'm going to fold it into thirds. So I put my finger right where that crease is, and I'm going to take one corner over so that it looks like that. And then I'm going to take the other corner, the unfolded side, and bring that one over to meet this seam. Then I have something that looks like that. So you can see I took my crease, I folded it over, and I folded that over again so that they all come to a point in the center. Then my last fold here is I'm just going to tip it this way, so my folds are on top, and I'm going to fold it in half, kind of like a paper airplane. So I have this fold now. And you can see there's a tiny little flap inside right there. I'm going to take my scissors, this is my first cut, and I'm going to cut right in line with that. So I'm going to take this excess off of the top. And then I have what looks like, again, just a basic triangle here. Now in order to get intricate snowflakes, you want to cut away as much as possible. So the finer you make the white that's left, the more intricate and delicate your snowflake is going to be. You can cut on both sides and on the top, but not all the way through. So if you cut all the way through, you're going to make a smaller snowflake. So if I were to cut all the way through here, my snowflake's only going to be that size once I unfold it. What I generally do is I take my full folded side and I'll cut into that a little bit, kind of like a little U shape or an arc, and then I'll take the other tip and I'll cut down towards that same spot. That way I have a shape that looks like that, and then I'm going to cut kind of a window into this first cut that I made. Again, I didn't cut all the way through, I'm just cutting along that edge. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, just a slightly different arc. So I have that. And then I'm going to cut, on this one, I'm going to cut a little bit of another arc right down here. There. And then I want to leave it so that it's strong enough, so I'm just going to cut the very tip of it off. So I have a shape that looks like this. You can occasionally unfold it so that you can start to see how the shape is going to look. So if I just do those cuts and I unfold it, I have a snowflake that looks like that. So you can see the little star in the middle, you can see what kind of a shape I got with those arcs. To show you another example, I'll show you one more time through the folding. So I take my paper, I lay it landscape way, and I fold it in half. I crease the top in the center, fold it into thirds, One thing you may have to adjust a little bit is your folding in thirds. You do want these seams to be lined up. So you want that inside to go right over, and then this seam here to be lined up as well. And then I fold it in half. And then I'm going to cut that top part off. If I go much more angular, so I'm making much straighter cuts, again, I usually start from that top tip. You can make diamond shapes in it. You can even do something that would look a little bit more spiderweb-like almost once you unfold it. So I'm cutting in a diagonal rectangle there, and then I'm going to do another one just below it. Then I'm cutting out a triangle there, and again, I'm going to cut out that tip. So you can see this shape is much more angular than the last one, and when we unfold it, I have a very different shaped snowflake here than here. Once you're done with these, you're probably going to want to lay them out flat under a heavy book for a little bit so that they flatten out. You can spray these very lightly with a little bit of adhesive and sprinkle them with glitter or a little bit of sparkly spray paint too if you want them to have a little bit more shimmer to them. And then these are great. They look beautiful and the windows are stuck up on the walls. You can get as creative as you want with these shapes. This fold is really very helpful in creating what looks like a symmetrical snowflake. So if you just do the half fold and cut out those shapes, you're going to get a kind of square, odd looking snowflake. This one is going to be circular. So remember, just cut from the fold in and not all the way through. For our large paper bag snowflake, you're going to need 7 paper bags. So I have 7 paper bags counted out this size, and you're going to need your glue gun as well. With my very first bag, I'm going to make sure that the flap is on the top and on the bottom of it. No, that doesn't make sense. So starting with my first bag, I'm going to line it up so that this flap is facing away from me and it's on the bottom. So I have this flat side facing up, and I'm going to start with a T in my hot glue. So I'm going to put a T at the top and then run that glue all the way down. And I'm going to take my next bag, lined up exactly the same way, flap on the bottom, and press that down. And then I'm going to repeat that with the remaining 6 bags, now 5 after I've placed that down. So I place my T in the glue, make sure my bag is lined up the same way, and I glue it down. Once I have all 7 bags glued together, I have a stack that looks like this, pretty unremarkable at this point. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to create a bit of a curve at the top. So starting in the center, I'm going to cut away a little bit on that side, and I'm going to try to mirror that on the other side. So coming down in about the same arc to about the same spot. So then I end up with something that looks like that. From here, it's kind of similar to your snowflakes that we made earlier in that you can cut out shapes from either side. You can get as intricate as you want, or you can do it very simply. So for this one, all I did was I cut out this shape and then I cut out a triangle on each side here. I'm going to get a little bit more intricate with this one, and I'm going to cut out some different shapes. All of your shapes are going to be cut out from above the fold here. So we see we have that extra little bit of paper bag here. You're not going to cut down into that. I want my bag to be pretty structurally sound, so I'm not going to cut out much more than that. And then here's the fun part. You're going to unravel it. So I'm basically just going to take it and spread it out. And you can start to see how it's going to shape up. And you're going to take those 2 ends and bring them all the way around. As you're doing this, you do sometimes have to separate some of the bags. So some of them might stick together, and you might just have to make sure that they're opening correctly. So you can see what it's going to look like at that point. The easiest way then to do this is to, again, find your flat fold here, I'm going to create that same T in my hot glue. And then before it dries, I'm going to bring it all the way around and line up my last bag. And then you want to make sure that you're getting into there so that you pinch all of those seams together. And there you have the finished product. So you can see with a couple more cuts it becomes a little bit more intricate. Again, if you happen to have the white bags, this same size, you can use those. You'll get a nice white snowflake. You can spray this with some light spray paint if you go really, really light with it. So I'm going to try a little bit of metallic spray on this to give it just a little bit of shimmer. I'll show you how that turns out as well. Here's one that I made a little bit more of a pointed edge, so you can see that that gives a slightly different look. If you end up cutting in a little too deep into your shapes in the center, you're going to start to lose some of the structural integrity. So with this one, it's still holding solid, but you can see if I'd gone just a tiny bit further, the whole outside layer would have fallen off. So this one gives you a little bit more airy look, but it's not as strong. I wanted these to still have a slightly rustic feel, and also you can't coat the paper too solidly with spray paint or it will get wrinkly. So I went really light with just a little bit of gold on this one and a little bit of silver on this, but you see it gives it just a nice shimmer to it. You can leave them totally natural and they still have a cool effect as well. And if you have those white bags, you can get a true snowflake look. If you have any questions or any comments, please let us know. We hope you enjoyed these snowflake crafts.